ready? Wow, that was great.
If anybody would like copies of our annual report, they're on the counter.
We're ready to commence discussion. There is a annual report on that table there, or used to be. It looks like this. But this is our annual meeting, and I'm going to call the meeting, I guess it's 5:08 or something like that. This is the membership meeting. You are the membership. Think of yourself as stockholders. You stockholders, elect a board of directors. We call them board of trustees. I'll introduce them in a second. And then we, the board of trustees, hire this chief executive officer. That's Carolyn. And she'll introduce the rest of the people. So I should introduce your board of trustees. We will start with, well, first of all, we'll talk about the mission. This is our mission. Hopefully we'll help your dignity and quality of life, and we would hope to improve the quality of life for seniors in the future. That's kind of our mission and objective. We cover the entire area through, including Miami Township and beyond. We have people from all over the county participating in some of our things. Okay, board of trustees. Jerry Sutton, Nelda Martin is here. She's our vice president. She also runs something called board development, so she's kind of keeping us organized. Secretary Sue Augustus.
Hi, everybody.
Treasurer Birch Carpenter. Those are the two least enviable positions. And I appreciate when people step up and do them. Susan Elmer, there, she's a utility infielder. If I want proofreading done, slides or whatever, she's going to ask the right question. Ben Adkins, he covers our technologies in the process of moving our server or our equipment from server A to server B. Shelley Blackman is a long time family in town, however, he's traveling for business. And he also, he has announced he will be departing the board. He told us last week, so we will have to figure out how to handle that in the future.
Picking one of you.
Randomly.
Steve Ujanovic, he is Dr. Steve, retired doctor. He lives in right on the corner of Colby.
Don't tell people where people live.
No, where you live.
And Jim Johnson is hiding way back there. So this is your board, all hardworking, and they perform what are called the fiduciary duties. Running your organization, taking care of the money. Hopefully, we have little ability to create money, but we're supposed to raise money, and we're supposed to not give Carolyn any jobs more than we can figure out how to pay for them. That gets tricky. Let's try another slide. First of all, we're going to have the reading of the minutes of our 24 annual meeting or presentation. You don't have to read them, they can read.
Secretary, this is one of my duties. So I think these were mailed out. They're also available many places. If there's 3 slides, I might want to point out just a couple of things. Last year at this time, we had raised $47,738 for the annual appeal. When I do my fund development report next, you'll see that we have substantially increased that. Also, the garden dinner party last year raised 13,000, and then we had an additional 45,000 in general donations. So that's kind of what happened last year. Let's see, next slide, maybe.
If there's any questions about any of this,
Just let me know.
Yeah, how does, it went to pass,
okay,
how
go
do
back.
the expenses match the amount of money that came in?
Well, this is the minutes
Yeah,
of
this is just
last
the
year.
minute. So
Yeah.
we'll have a financial report. If you
Okay,
could hold that.
I'll know the answer to that.
Exactly, hold that.
This is 2003 number.
Okay, I just.
No, no worries.
You know, the person that asks the most questions might be positioned to be put on the board.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have,
You know, last year there were some changes in bylaws. This year we don't have any changes. I think we're gonna vote on today. Our outgoing president last year was Wayne, who's here tonight, and we're happy to have him here. How about the next one? Carolyn gave a report that sort of previewed what we kind of saw tonight, which is we're gonna have a new building, we hope, and we've made a lot of progress in a whole year, don't you think?
You know what the
Yeah.
screen, so you're facing us one?
And then we had elections for the officers, and unfortunately, I was elected as secretary. That's the minutes from last.
here,
Any questions?
Okay, could we have a motion to approve?
President Sutton,
To accept the minutes of the annual meeting of last year.
Motion has been made to approve the annual board meeting. Do I have a second?
I second.
Jim Johnson. Any discussion on the motion? Motion been made and seconded. All in favor, signify by raising your hand. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. Now Sue will go on, since she's chair of the fund development, and talk to how we did the last year.
so as I,
I pointed out, and last year we had 48,000. This year we had 65,000 for the annual appeal. So that was fantastic. And that was our goal because it was our 65th anniversary. So it was fantastic with a little,
to spare.
yeah, with a little help from our friends. We made our goal of 65,000. Our fundraising events, I think, increased a little bit too. And then our other donations significantly increased, $89,000. So we're gonna have to really ramp this up this next year. It's a big lift for our fundraising committee, and for the board, and for all of you as our members. So you know we're gonna be coming after you. We'll get by with a little help from our friends.
Yeah.
Today is Beatles Global Day, so I gotta throw out all these Beatles references. But anyway, so our committee works on putting events on together. Our garden dinner party is this Saturday, which I hope many of you will be attending. It's always one of our favorite events. We had a successful raffle of a ukulele and a dinner by Chef Neff. We have concerts throughout the year. We have Heartstrings in December, which we'll have again this year. We'll probably have a square dance again. We really want to make that an annual event, so look for a square dance in October. And everything but the house auction. So those of you who are cleaning out old houses and have some valuable antiques or valuable jewelry, You can donate it to the center and we'll put it up on a website that we work with, everything but the house, and we can raise money that way. So those are ways you can help us. And if you have any ideas for raffle things, for ways to raise money, please let us know. And it can be quirky, but
You know, whatever,
we're really looking for ideas, so just let us know. And I think are there any questions about our fundraising?
Any questions for Sue? Okay.
So now I think we'll hear from our treasurer. Birch. Thank you.
Mike,
We'll try it without.
you're a professor. You can do it.
We'll see what we're doing. All right. All right, today, all right, we are reporting today on our 2024 year of operation. These numbers are currently under audit by our auditor, Clark, Schaffer, and Hadnick. And the audit report will be posted on the website and on otherwise available when completed. So it's still in works where all this money was going on this. We will first start with a caveat. The center acquired a new 12-passenger van, a grant and a donation totaling over $75,000 to cover the complete cost was received in 2024. They got the money in 2024. However, the van was not delivered until March 2025, which makes it a little bit difficult when you're trying to do the funding. Thus, if we include this extraordinary income of 2024, it would be significantly distorting the picture. So we have set aside this year that we will have more numbers, more compatible numbers for our operation. Revenues for 2024, net of the van, they're not counting the van here now, were $404,316, which was less than 1% over last year. This slide shows the major sources of that revenue. So now I've talked about the money, how they came, now the expense. As to expenses for the 2024,
Error on this, the top number of expenses, but look to your annual report. I'm sorry. The slide is incorrect. Go ahead.
Okay.
as to expenses for 2024, again, not considering the van, we were also at 404,316, which was 5% less than in 2023. Again, the slide shows the major expense categories. Not surprising, personnel, money to the operators of the people, are the major portion of the operation. When I went through this several times, it was such a big thing, all right, that the fact that they had money in 2024, and then they had the building on 2025. And they're letting the auditors and us try to figure it out fairly. And that's where we're at. Jerry, I think you might want to add some more to this. Later. We'll do it later. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Birch. And I appreciate you stepping up into this and Sue. They're thankless jobs, so I'll thank you.
the pay is lousy too.
Okay, moving forward. Should cover the state of the center. You know what our operations are. We got two parts. Operations, essential services and programs. This place is so busy, when I come sometimes, there's not a chair available. So homemaker services is our big thing. service about 90
Individuals.
individuals around town. Transportation, you heard about the big beautiful van. It's under the auspices of our transportation, that and other programs. Social services is probably underrated, and that's all the counseling regarding Medicare, Medicare Advantage, what version this year, what's included in my drugs, etc. Very needed. And then part of our fiduciary responsibility of trustees is to try to say, how are we gonna sustain this in the future? What does the future look like? That's a responsibility. And you saw the conceptual design work is underway. We've got quite a bit you heard a good discussion today. I'm sure I saw Letty taking notes, and they will go back, and I suspect some changes will evolve. So thank you for your input. I'm glad you were here. We also had a feasibility completed by some students and Masters of Public Administration at Wright State. And that is to say, what is the capacity and willingness of the community to support such a project? And we have favorable reports of that looks like we may have, for our portion of the projected cost, be able to cover it. But, you know, that's downstream when we finalize everything. He's talking about conceptual dollars, pretty rough cut, and they're gonna be refined before we get done. Okay, next. So future funding. This place currently to operate is gonna be about $430,000 a year, as Bert says. Since we're doubling our square footage, I would not be surprised if it may cost us a little more. And we have to figure out how to do that, how to generate that income. I threw out $5 million. Was used last year in a PDAC application. In other words, we're applying for grants and various money. The PDAC is preliminary, something.
Priority Development Advisory Committee.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a regional thing. They rank everybody's wish list and they take it to and they say, you know, good, bad, whatever. And we got
Second
acknowledged.
tier, not first tier priority, which is good.
Yeah, but we can apply again, and we will, and again. And that people at the state level and federal level will review that document, expect that document. We would hope at the local level that we'll set a goal that may get about a 1.5 million. And that would be individual donors. You know, the world has changed a lot regarding federal and state programs. Timing is everything in life. You know, federal government was giving money, you know, just, hey, please take my money 2 years ago. It may change. Somebody may decide I've got to stimulate this economy. And we have to be in a ready. Next. So Bert said I'd talk a little more. I'm a picture guy, big picture. This is the income sources. Let's see, yeah, of our 2024. I try to break that down in 3 different sections. First section is we earn. Homemakers, because we provide services, they're reimbursed. Apartment rentals, we have 2 apartments here, so that is earned. Then we have grants. Or monies that come in, some monies from our endowments, Green County Council on Aging, and other grants. That's about a third, another third. But the important third is this. All this comes from you, our community. Dues, this little fraction, donation, that Sue covered, fundraising activities, and our annual appeal. We would not function without help from the community and financial support. Some people think we're a public agency. We don't get tax dollars. Green County Council on Aging, I'll talk about that, where those monies come and how they are tax dollars, but I'll explain how much of that relative to the world. This is now some expenses. As Bert said, better than 3/4 of our expenses are salary. So we are a corporation, as I mentioned earlier. If and when we have financial crunch, where do you think we could save the money? Just like, Apple lays off people or cuts back, that's our only recourse. And that impacts services, etc. The last thing we want to do, but it is. Okay, let's go forth to the good news. This is my favorite chart. Charts, really, two of them. One is demographics. Who do we serve? 40% of people in Yellow Springs, of population of Yellow Springs, 40% are over 60 years old. That's a pretty big number. It's similar to Miami Township. Green County's less slightly, but on a national level, it's half of that percentage. So we're kind of extraordinary, but you gotta keep your eye on this other little bubble here, the 50-year-olds. By the time we get this building, it'll probably be 75% will be seniors. So we've got to think our way through that. Meanwhile, these are the younger folks, the school age folks are under 20% of the population. This is your property tax. You may have yesterday got a little letter, it has a graph that looks something like this on the front of it. They can look at it closely. The numbers may change because this is last year's, the picture this time is 2025. And they changed just marginally because they no longer support what Green County Hospital that levies on. Okay, so 59 cents of every if this was $1, 59 cents would go to support the schools. Our funding, we get, there's something called the Senior Services Levy. It's 1.4 mils was passed. It trits over a period of time, so it's less, but it generates the same amount of money. That is wrapped up in the county. And what we get is 0.5%. A halfpenny, as the English would say, of that dollar comes down to operate this facility. We get from the municipality nada. So support your senior citizens levy because it pays for a lot of operations. But we're not getting rich off of it. We still need your help. Okay? Can I stand my foot loud enough? And now. Our CEO will tell the real story.
Do I need the microphone? Okay, cool. Much better without it. So thank you, everybody. The question of the day is, what is the Yellow Spring Senior Center? Everybody's got their own answer. It's the place they hang out. It's the place that they call when there's a problem. It's where you sit with your friends outside on a nice day or sit here and listen to me. It's where you come to exercise, or it's where you call for help. All of those things are the senior center. And it's important to know that the senior center can't be one thing. There are senior centers that don't have any services. There are senior centers that don't have any activities. There are senior centers that don't have any staff. So we have made ourselves, we have created what we want this place to be. So last week when I was shopping at Tom's, which we all should be doing, just so you know, the person in front of me was checking out and it's one of our elected officials. And I said, I really appreciate the way you're messaging. I really appreciate how you're describing things to the community so we know what's going on. It was just a nice chat. And that person turned to me and said, I appreciate your work as a public servant. And I went, okay, but I'm not a public servant. I'm not elected. I'm not part of the government. I am here because this organization hired me. So I want that to be clear to people that we are the Yellow Spring Senior Center. So then the question is, are we? We're an independent, nonprofit organization, and each of those words is really important. We're independent. Nobody gets to tell us what we do. Nobody tells us that we can't have a rainbow van in the Pride Parade. We believe in diversity and equity and inclusion. We also don't have to fall in line with anybody else's version of bureaucracy or stipulations. We are on our own terms. So that's always something to celebrate. Being nonprofit allows us to get the donations that keep us thriving. As Jerry said, we can't live without the donations from this community. And I'm seeing so many very generous faces in front of me, so thank you all. It also allows us to apply for grants and other ways to get funding, and it allows us to focus primarily on our mission, not on what sort of business we're operating, turning profits. We really get to follow the mission at all times. And then I really like the word organization, because it is very much that, as I could attest from our entire staff and how organized they have to be to keep this place running. And it is so imperative that the things that you all don't see are happening. We got a new air conditioner. Did you know that? As of Monday, we did not have air conditioning in this room. So that was, you know, those little things, they add up. And if anybody wants to help out with that, that was a nice $10,000 hit to the budget, but we're working on it. I've already worked on a couple grants for it. But the organization that you don't see is the paperwork in the background, the little meetings that we had to have this morning. There were 4 of us having a quick meeting about how to take care of somebody's needs. Those pieces have to happen or we fail. If we get a few people in the community that didn't think we did their services well, it reflects back on each one of us. So I just want to praise our incredible team, because this organization, that payroll, makes a difference. So here's our team. If you don't recognize everybody, the picture is from 2 years ago, because who remembers to take pictures around here? We're not very good at it. But I put these people in order by how long they've been with us, because we're pretty lucky to have a team that has stuck around. Lynn is in her 22nd year of service here.
Wow.
And Teresa, she couldn't stay because you don't know how dedicated she is. She works on days that the rest of us would say, leave me alone. I can't do anything more. She's still here. Teresa has been with us, I think, since 2008. So she is an incredible manager, and I don't have represented here. This is the in-office staff. She also manages 11 homemakers. Robert, our transportation manager, I don't know, how long have you been here?
10 years.
Thank you. Pam, hired in 2000, 2020. Yes, thank you. And that same year, Gina was hired as our bookkeeper. Stephanie was hired in 2021. Maggie came on in 23. She's in the back. And I don't know if you guys are aware, but Maggie takes the other half of the phone calls that Robert doesn't take. Basically, it's transportation and Maggie getting people signed up for classes or all kinds of other organizations. And then just joining us in the last year, included in the picture below, is Sarah Beltran and her daughter Angela. Sarah is our administrative assistant, but Angela is our activities assistant. They are the dynamic duo. Very fortunate to have all of these people because the dedication they have to this place is above and beyond what any of you have ever given to a job. It's just been delightful to have such a great team. And but on top of that, if our payroll had to include our volunteers, sorry, we have to shut the doors. Because no matter how many hours we have on payroll, we have more than that from our volunteers. Every class, well, I think we have 3 classes that are led by somebody that are paid by a grant. Everything else is a volunteer. Our front desk is a volunteer. Our drivers are almost always volunteers. And look at those faces you get. In fact, I do love this first picture. If you can't tell, this is 3 guys leaning over the engine when we got the new van. They just had to check it out. I thought that was pretty hilarious. Everybody else was looking around inside, but they needed to check it out. So all of this, I know that everybody's really here because the elections are so exciting that we're going to be electing our board members in a few minutes. But I want to share with you this beautiful story that's been done. Some students from Wright State have put together a 7-minute film for us about part of what we're experiencing now with the center and what things could be. And I'd like to thank Lauren, she's in the back of the room, who's our chief editor of this movie. And did you have anything you wanted to share with anybody, Lauren?
I just had the best time ever learning about center and about everybody here. And it was a big honor to tell this stories.
Thank you. So I'm just gonna click on it. And do you mind cutting the lights just so people can see well? Thank you. Oh. Sorry, I have to bring it to the right screen.
Being a senior, it's good to look forward to things every day. This senior center can give you, as a senior, something to look forward to. Just all the activities. I participate in the Spanish class here, the lunches that they hold. As a senior, it just gets you motivated and it gets you out.
I enjoy being here. On days when I'm not bike riding in good weather, this is usually where I am. What I like to do mostly is what you see me doing here, puzzles. Everybody is welcoming and cordial.
The best thing about the center also is FRE. A lot of things are free. So you don't have to wonder if you have this or that in your pocket to come and socialize and keep your body moving. You know, the elders they need to go somewhere they can keep their body moving and they can be respected. You know, they can know that they're still embraced in this world. They're respected. They're to be honored when you make it this far.
At some point, we're all gonna be old. So why not embrace that and get involved? And we've got so many things going on.
Well, one thing is parking.
Parking. So there are 2 parking spaces in back. And when I volunteer, I use one of those. Today, there was no parking available. I parked in Tom's parking lot at the grocery store. So that's a challenge. If you find a parking space, then where is it? And how long will it take you to get to where you go? We're a destination, so lots of people come and visit us.
I also think we don't have stairs. Right here, we have some stairs. We need no stairs, really.
I fell and relocated my shoulder in 2017, so just getting up the stairs here. The only way that you can come into the building and not have to deal with stairs is if you go in the back door, which is closed during the day for security reasons. But if we have events at night, that's the way folks come in. I don't want to fall again. And so I have to be very self-aware. And just having to go up those stairs, I have to go up those stairs to go to the bathroom, to go up those stairs and down those stairs to go to the kitchen. I went and got some water and I have to maneuver my walker. And this is an easy walker to maneuver. There are some folks that have those scooter things. That's really a challenge.
And the hallways are narrow, so wheelchairs are, I mean, they're doable, but it's not ideal. That's why we have everybody come in soon. Because it's level to enter from.
That's a huge barrier, and it's small. Because we have stuff going on every day. And the more space, the more the more gatherings we can have.
We have lots of folks that want to be involved, but we just don't have the space and the time. If you go and look at the kiosk, as you sign almost every day, and there's 2 screens worth of activities that are going on. It's a lot, and we could do even more.
It's really only 2 major spaces right now available to have. Like we have French, and then we have current events going on right now. Well, we could probably have four events going on at the same time. And there's probably going to be an opportunity to provide more food sustenance if we have, a more space to work in. So I think this senior center, although it's a blessing, it's been a long time coming to get something bigger.
There's a lot to do here now. And so, but I think that if we have more space, the sky's the limit.
You can't be in the little place forever, the great room is the only bigger room. Since a lot of offices and stuff are crowded these days, I think a new building is really necessary. Something new beginnings, more space for classes, and just, it's kind of like, it's old here. So I'm looking at this new building is being a facelift, an energetic lift for everybody. I think it's in the hearts of everybody to really have this new building. The new building should be really a lot bigger. Bigger offices, bigger kitchen, bigger great room. And maybe still show a bunch of art. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the new building.
Inside and out, we need more space. And that's gonna give us more space inside and out. And I believe more ideals are just gonna start blossoming. I think you're gonna get a lot more people joining. And hopefully it'll be different ages that are joining too. And it'll be more of a community place.
I just want folks to appreciate that because our name is the Yellow Springs Senior Center, that it's really for the community. It's an all-purpose place that you can come and be yourself and be relaxed and maybe think outside your comfort zone, learn a new language, brush up on a language that you took in high school that you never used again, that sort of thing. It's just a very comfortable place. It's my happy place.
Whenever you need a ride, call the senior center. Whenever you want to sign up for activities,
call the senior center. They will be happy and to assist you in any way you want them to assist. We're growing. I live in an all elderly and disabled community. There are a lot of people that are homebound. They can't get around, so the huge advantage of having the passenger van is they'll be able to make their rounds, come pick some of us up, so we can come get some sustenance and come on back, and then take us home, and they can come socialize, you know? So the passenger van, new location, I'm completely happy with the Yellow Springs Senior Center because we are a loving community.
Thank you to Wright State.
Yeah.
I think it tells our story great. I didn't know we had so many stars in. Okay, we're at that point of the agenda, I believe.
We get back onto the right thing.
Get back to the right thing. Where we're talking about,
Oh, just a quickie.
Oh.
I've just got a couple of quick announcements here. We are still maintaining this building, even though Peter says we should keep it forever. We'll try to take care of it. But we're just maintaining as we can, not doing any grand improvements. Sorry for the ugly carpet. We do have our shuttle service active now, but trying to figure it out. It's been a really tough challenge. We've got this van. We know we want to provide service. We don't know what the community needs. You got a yellow card in the mail, and there's a link on it to fill out a survey that helps us know what you want of this van or shuttle service or whatever. There's more of the cards there. Pass them out to your friends. Please ask them. If we don't have data and if we don't have riders, we're never going to get funding for it. So it's if you build it, they will come, but right now they're not coming. So help us, please. There is a party July 18th at our new land to celebrate having the van. If not celebrate the shuttle service, we'll try to have the service in some operation by then. And then the other part, as we've said, we're designing the building, we're having a capital campaign coming up, and there are constantly new activities here. So please keep checking out the newsletter. A lot of them fill out really fast. So we want to hear from you too, if there's something we're not providing. So now I get to hand it over to Bella. Thank you.
Belda Martin, our vice president, by virtue of being vice president, he has the privilege of chairing the board development committee. And she has a secretary to develop it.
Well, thank you, Jerry, and thank you, Caroline. So let me share a little bit about the Board of Development to you. The work of the Board Development Committee is to help the board to be the best that it can be. To serve, you cannot hear me?
Turn
Yeah, a lot of testing everything.
No,
Testing,
not
testing.
yet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. The work of the Board Development Committee is to help the board be the best it can be to serve the community. It has been busy this year. Of course, we had some people who resigned, people retired. So the board continues to recruit people, and that's one of our primary goals, is to keep recruiting individuals for the board. One of our newest members is Steve Bujanovich. Did I say that right? Yes. Bujanovich. Okay, thank
Just
you.
like it's spelled.
Yes. Yeah, okay. He joined the board in October 24, and as Jerry mentioned, he gave you a brief background of Steve, the physician. He came on, and he came on to fill a vacancy by a trustee that you may be familiar with, Diane. Diane Chittister. I knew I was gonna get that one, who resigned when she moved out of the area. Our bylaws allow Steve to come on this replacement until the annual meeting, which is today. And we are today nominating Steve to begin his new term, and his term will expire in 2028. Steve is not here to represent himself, so we are standing here on his behalf. And he is an excellent individual, so you may have met him at another meeting, but I'm sure you will love him when you see him. In addition, we are nominating a new trustee who recently joined the board. Her name is Karen Harmon. Karen, if you here, would you please stand? We're so excited to introduce her. Her experience, her energy will help guide the senior center. She has a background. Would you like to take a moment to say something to the board at this time?
No. Mostly just that I'm a lifelong Yellow Spring resident. I grew up here. I was born here. I grew up here. I went to school here. I've raised my family here. And I love this community with every fiber of my being, though sometimes I'm kind of whacked with the talented too. And so I'm really excited to have the opportunity to serve on the board of trustees with the senior center, because as I've grown up in this community, I've been involved in things that are appropriate for where I am. When my children were young, I volunteered at Mills Lawn. When they were older, I spent a lot of time at the high school and middle school there, and that and he needs to babysit for them before they could talk. Yes, then they started talking back when she left. But I just really excited to have the opportunity to be a part of this wonderful organization and learn more about it, because I've actually learned some things here tonight that I didn't know. So that's good. And that's what I have to say about that.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Thank you. So as I mentioned earlier, Steve is unable to attend. Then Karen. Now, Ben, do you have anything you would like to add?
Well, I will say this, when I was invited to, join the center board 3 years ago, I'd been on the Chamber of Commerce board, on the Antioch Writers Workshop board. I was on the, Glen Helen Association board, and I thought, I really don't want to be. Diane was very, very convincing. And so I'm so glad that I decided to accept. I will say this, that I never dreamed that during this time we'd be buying a piece of Antioch. But somehow we did that. That was not an easy decision, because there were some of us that thought this is way, way too big of a project. But one of the things that I came to realize was that they've been trying to find another place for years, like 20 years. And I finally realized, I was kind of against this at first, and I finally realized we're never going to find another piece of property anywhere around like what we found. So I'm really excited about being part of the next phase of this, to see how this all comes together. So I want to see how it's going to come out, and I want to be a part of it.
Thank you. Are there any nominations from the floor?
Are you going to a motion? Or are you talking about a stop nomination?
Oh, no, thank you. Daddy wants to.
We have 3 vacancies. We have a 9-member board. 3 people are elected each year. And these are who our nominees are, recruits and some with some experience. So if somebody would like to challenge one or compete for a position, you can do that.
At this time. Jim?
Oh, Jim's already on. You can't move on.
You can have to compete.
Yeah, go ahead.
And I move that we accept this slate of officers.
Not officers.
Is there a second?
Second. Slate of trustees, not officers.
Okay, been made and seconded to accept this slate of officers,
Trustees, not officers.
trustees.
I
Thanks for the
move that this slate be, accepted.
Okay, I think we did that, but let's.
Well, she said Jim could do it, so.
No, you can.
No, he can't. It's
Can't do it.
He can do it.
He
He
can
can
do it.
do it.
Well,
If
whatever.
somebody-
Buddies, we're.
Okay, motion has been made. Motion has been made and seconded. To accept this slate of volunteers. All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed? Welcome to the board. Very good.
And finally, on behalf of the current board, I would like to thank the trustees.
No, we have officers to elect.
Oh, my mistake. So now we are moving to elected officers, and this is our current president, Jerry Sutton, myself, the vice president, Velda March, secretary, Sue Augustus, and treasurer, Steve. Steve. Yeah, I'm gonna get it, y'all. President Sutton, I move to accept the slate of officers as shown on the screen.
Is there a second?
I still have.
Motion has been made and seconded to accept and elect these individuals to the offices indicated. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
And finally, on behalf of the current board, I would like to thank the trustees who served in the past year for providing their expertise and dedication. Roger Carpenter, thank you, who has been our treasurer for the past year. Diane Chittister, who moved out of the state after serving as vice president and secretary. And to Wayne, who served as our president and treasurer. Sometimes concurrently during a time of many important transitions at YSSC, Yellow Springs Senior Center. Wayne, would you stand up? The Board of Trustees would like to present to you our special token of appreciation for all the time you served and your hard work. And we want you to know that we love you and we honor you. Thank you.
I live right there.
Okay. Thank you, Velda. Anybody else have any business to bring before this committee at this time? Any questions?
Nice to come over here to big residents.
Yeah.
I'll be very happy to talk to people here. I've been in love with Yellow Springs.
I think we need to see my.
Well, my name is. Wow. And I've been in love with Yellow Springs since the 1950s. And the magnificent Shakespeare plays here. And I decided to be here. So in 65 years ago, I became the music director in Yellow Springs. Local music, and for events of music happening in Yellow Springs. And then.
I say the Bach Magnificat, right in the direction of Mr. Richards.
Well, I've had a great time. It is a great place. And then from 1962 to 1962 to 75, I was at Antioch School of Music. And when Walter Anderson left to go to Washington to be responsible for education in the United States, humanities, I looked at Walter and I said, who's going to take your place when you're gone? Walter looked at me and said, well, and I said, Walter, no one could ever possibly replace you. And he said, you can. And I did. So I became the administrator for the School of Music at Antioch College. And it was the Antioch String Quartet, and magnificent things were happening and did happen. And I love it. And I would like to make a contribution, if, be it humble, of $1,000 to your group.
Look at that lady. Anybody?
Planted.
It will be applied to the air conditioning you're enjoying. Yeah, no objection. Anybody else? Okay,
Jerry, hold on.
yes.
I was remiss, when I gave my fundraising report, not thanking the members of my committee. So
Jim Johnson, who's the board member, is Jim still there? Is there?
Jim and Pam and Moira and Nagin and Carolyn and who are we missing? Linda Scott, Linda. They all work on the fundraising committee and really, you know, it's a group effort. So I wanted to make sure I was not remiss and thanks.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, anybody object to adjourning?
Second that.
Seconded.
Yeah.
Aye.
All in favor? Of course, they can be here and we'll be.